Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Talking City podcast with myself, Tyrone Marshall, and our Chief City correspondent, Simon Bajkowski. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of City's week, a word for our sponsors, NordVPN. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/talkingcity. That'll give you 4 extra months free on Nord's typical 2-year plan, and you still get Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee as well. That link is nordvpn.com/talkingcity. And if you can't remember it, it's in the podcast episode description box as well. Let's do a bitty on the City nitty-gritty, shall we?
Nice.
It's been a week for City, fill in the blank, listeners.
Yes.
This is it's not been a good week, has it?
No, really bad. Not like catastrophically bad, they'll never win again, but just thrown away a lot of the momentum that they went into the November international break with, really. Newcastle wasn't... I think you could excuse losing to Newcastle and over the course of a 38-game season and whatever, and fine, and Newcastle are a good team. And Pep kind of came out after that game, didn't he, and said, it's wasn't, we played well, I was happy with the performance, wasn't disappointed with any aspect. And then he turns up to his press conference before Leverkusen and says, this is a final. And then he makes 10 changes, and it's basically a B team that plays, and it's a B team featuring John Stones and Savinho and Omar Marmoush. These are not like people they've found round the back of the Etihad, but is very much kind of, if you could pick the 10 or 11 most out of form players, it would be they. And they played like, they weren't very good, were they?
They were not very good, no. I mean, out of form, out of rhythm, and when you throw a group of players who are out of rhythm together and don't play together, you're going to get a performance like that against a very, very good side. And I mean, when that team sheet landed, I think we were all stunned, really, weren't we? Because I can't recall Guardiola doing that in a live Champions League group game before. There's been times where the Champions League games are barely live. They've got the faintest of pulses, and he'll still play his strongest team. Yet in a game that was very much live, he made 10 changes. It felt quite out of character, didn't it?
I have been there for 10 years of Pep being very grandiose about how the Champions League has to be respected, and that's why you play strong teams, and only when it's the deadest of rubbers do you dare to change. And it was that, really, because the performance wasn't like abysmal. It wasn't good, but they had chances, and they wasn't like every time Leverkusen went forward they looked like scoring. But it's one of those, when the end result is a 2-0 home defeat and you've lost for the first time at home since 2018 in the Champions League group stage or whatever, you just go back to that. And the Leverkusen were missing 12, 14 players, and it's more like, forget the match that was played, think about the match that could have been played. And if they had won, they'd be second in the table, and we'd be talking about them basically being banked for top 8, whatever happens. But now they're outside of the top 8 and they go to Real Madrid, so they could fall further out of the top 8, and it's just a massive wasted opportunity. The argument is that on Pep, or is that on the 10 players who came in and did the square root of 0?
Yes. Well, I was gonna come on to that. I mean, Pep took the blame for it post-match in his press conference, I would say, but the players did underperform. I mean, I guess the sensible answer is it's a bit of both, but also why do you think he did it? There was a few sort of theories floating around. Obviously, he played the same team 3 times in a row in the Premier League.
Yeah,
just lost at Newcastle. Was this him sending a message saying no one's safe, or was this just him thinking these players are going to be knackered at some point? I need to change it. Have you got a theory as to why he did it? Given, as we just discussed, it's very un-Pep like.
I think I have 2 theories. The first is that...
Is one of them a conspiracy theory?
3 theories, actually.
Oh, one of them's got to be a conspiracy.
The first is it was a message to his starters from Newcastle saying, look, I wasn't entirely happy with that performance. It's got to be better. Here is a chance for 10 people to show you why you won't necessarily be in my team every week. None of them took it because they all played like drains. Secondly, I think he felt it. Pep was the master of the 6-game Champions League phase. He knew exactly what you had to do when, which was invariably pick your strongest team for the first 4, maybe the 5th, rest everyone for the 6th. It's still in its infancy, this kind of new phase, and I think he thought against a Leverkusen team missing loads of players, this was a chance where even if they got a point, even if they lost, like I looked and 16 points got you top 8 last season. So even if they lose to Real, if they beat Bodo and Galatasaray, which they should, they will get 16 points. So maybe come the end of January, we're talking like Leverkusen didn't actually matter. And the third one...
Chemtrails?
The third one is I think he shot JFK. I think he is still quite scarred from last season and injuries and fatigue, and knows that they have a full-on run with like 3 Premier League games coming up in 10 days and 5 in whatever with Madrid and Palace. And I think he thought if he could take an opportunity to rest some players, he did. But it massively backfired, and we're now not talking about a City team who can challenge Arsenal because they've gone and smashed Spurs and smashed Bayern Munich. We're talking about a City team who are inconsistent, and are they good enough to challenge Arsenal? Yeah.
The second one of those is interesting because he's kind of touched on that in a couple of press conferences, hasn't he? I think it was before Dortmund when he said it used to be win your home games, win one away, and you were through.
Yeah.
And it's like not quite figured out how to do it. But the same principle applies, I think. City had 4 very winnable home games.
Yeah.
You win them.
Yeah.
And that's going to get them at least a top 24 spot.
Yeah.
You get 4 points on the road. You've probably got a top 8 spot. It all just felt a bit unnecessary. I mean, I was speaking to one of our colleagues afterwards and said, surely you just change 4 here and 4 against Leeds. It's not as if Leeds is the most demanding of Premier League games. And I get what you're saying about like, he's scarred by last season. He knows he's got to rest and rotate players. But by doing this, he's raised the stakes against Real Madrid. And now, whatever happens against Real Madrid, got to probably take the strongest team to Bodo Glimt. And surely if there's any game you're circling saying, I want to rest and rotate players, it's Bodo Glimt away in the Arctic Circle, which is 3 days after the second Manchester derby of the season. That was surely the game where you're like, let's get it done and send the B team and the kids to that fixture. And now that probably can't happen.
Yeah. And not only does it raise the stakes for Real, it raises the stakes for Leeds, which like they should still win. It is a winnable game, but like now having lost 2 in a row, you absolutely cannot afford to lose 3 in a row and fall further behind Arsenal. I kind of feel that it was a move that was prioritising the Premier League, saying, look, we can't afford to drop any more points now at this time. I still think anything above 8, 9 points, it's like psychologically very difficult to come back from. So I think it was done with the weekend in mind, but with the result and the performance having gone the way it did, it just adds pressure on multiple upcoming games that wasn't necessary.
No, I would totally agree with that, especially when it was after the Liverpool game when he spoke really interestingly about the Swansea game after losing at Villa and how important it was to win again straight away and stop the defeats mounting up. And now the defeats have mounted up. It's 2 in a row, it's 3 and 7.
But also Swansea was good because it was like another game for Gonzalez to do well in. Cherky came into the team and that was his kind of springboard to then play. I think he got 2 assists against Bournemouth a few days later. Marmoush scored and it was like, oh, will Marmoush kick on from here? So it was the players who hadn't been performing who turned it in, whereas like, you know, Pep held his hands up on Tuesday night and said, my bad, like first time I've done something like that, won't be doing it again. At the same time, you wonder how many of those 10 changes will be starting a game anytime soon. Because
we'll come on to what...
Is Pep saying it's my fault, I shouldn't have put the players in that position, or is Pep saying it's my fault for starting them because they didn't perform? I thought they would. They didn't. Can't trust them anymore.
I think the players would counter that by saying, if you put 3 or 4 of us into a team that is playing every week, we'd have a better chance.
Yeah.
If you put 10 of us into a team that's never played together before.
I think so. But like, they do train every day together. Like,
they do.
Then maybe not in that team, but like, I don't think there are any players in that team who can have any excuse.
No. And you look at it, we've said a lot about City depth this year. You look at it, and as a completely second string team beside Gonzalez, it looked pretty strong. Was there... I mean, this is probably a pretty simple question for you to answer. Was there anyone who enhanced their claims?
No, I don't think so. And that's not to say that there's not people who, like, there were plenty of people who weren't terrible. Like John Stones, for instance, was fine. But it's just that case of missed opportunity. But it's one of those things as well where you feel like the whole night has been set by the team selection, because like 3 people came on at half time: Foden, O'Reilly and Doku. And like, they were okay, but they weren't very good. And Foden and Cherky were on for half an hour and they weren't very good. So it wasn't like they came on and instantly changed the dynamic. It was like, from the moment that team was announced, it was on a downward spiral and nothing could change that.
Yeah.
And that is kind of about the kind of intangible momentum in football and psychology of football, whereby, anyone named in that team, as much as they will have thought like, oh, this is my chance to impress, they must also have kind of felt a bit of pressure and thought, oh, this is a really big chance to impress. And if I don't, then when's my next one going to come? Yeah.
It still feels like we're trying to work out kind of what City's transfer business this year has been like. There's nine players signed in 2025 in Guardiola's squad this season, with Naipan and Reece out on loan. I mean, it's added depth to the squad, hasn't it? I don't think there's any doubt about that. But has it improved the team enough? If everyone in this squad is fit, how many of those signings are starting? Donnarumma, definitely. Yeah. And I think he's an upgrade on Ederson. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Beyond that, maybe one of Reinders or Cherky. But I'd say there's no guarantee. If you've got the best version of Rodri, Pep's already made it clear he's starting ahead of Gonzalez.
I think if you've got the best version of Rodri, then maybe Gonzalez gets in alongside him instead of Reinders or Cherky. I mean, he's probably been probably City's best player behind Haaland this season.
O'Reilly's
been very good. But
very
I mean,
he's been in the top 3 or 4.
Both of them they came in for the derby, didn't they? And then Gonzalez went in for the derby, was he even?
He was in at the start and then out.
Yeah,
and then
but like he's been very good. But like, amazingly, there was kind of like talk of him potentially leaving in summer, and City weren't very quick to shut that down. No. So yeah, mixed. Really sort of missed opportunity for Ait-Nouri, who
he's really struggling at the moment, isn't he? The last 2 starts.
Yeah, and it's hard because again, then like O'Reilly came on and just looked an instant upgrade. Yeah, but then it's very hard to judge transfer windows, as all the people who proclaimed that Liverpool had the best transfer window in history. Since football was begun in ancient Greece, Liverpool have had the best transfer window, and now that I don't want to sort of distract from City, but and absolutely astonishing, because we sat here last season and said this is astonishing what's happening with City. I find it even more astonishing that Liverpool have done exactly the same thing.
Yeah. And I was thinking yesterday, and I don't think I really came to an answer, but I was thinking, was there almost an argument that Liverpool did the kind of window City needed and City did the kind of window Liverpool needed?
Yeah.
Like, Liverpool maybe needed a bit more depth. Did City need... City have been so good at getting those mid-price signings right, haven't they? Like, that has been...
Yeah.
Cheeky Beginners' biggest success.
Yeah.
This squad is full of players who are in that mid-price level in the modern game.
Yeah.
But they get it right time after time after time.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, are they getting those right anymore?
Yeah.
And would they have been better off instead of signing 9 players, signing 4 and maybe signing an Eze as an example instead of a Reinders?
Yeah. Well, at the minute, Cherky for 30 still looks better than Wirtz for 116.
The thing with Cherky is he's 21, and when he's on his day, you're like, he is a bargain at 34 million.
Yeah.
But he also has games like against Liverpool and Newcastle where he's just not really in them.
Yeah.
To be expected, probably.
Yeah. And Marmoush hasn't been on it at all this season and has had injury issues, but Marmoush for 60 still looks a hell of a lot better value than Isak for 130. But we kind of have to judge him at the end of the season or even after 2 seasons or whatever. So I think it's fair to say that the jury is very much out on all of City's business in 2025 and on Hugo Viana. And also, there's a lot of heat on Savinho at the minute. And Rico Lewis didn't even make the squad for Newcastle.
No.
Both of those handed long-term deals after rejecting transfer moves in the summer. Like, it's one thing to reject a transfer move. It's another thing to then say, right, here's a bumper new deal. And it sort of does make business sense in terms of you protecting your asset, but it depends how valuable your asset is. And Savinho, I believe, has as many yellow cards as he does goals and assists this season, which is not what you want in November.
No, and it was. I mean, me and Alex spoke about Savinho on Monday, but it's probably worth touching on again, and you can throw in your 2 pennies worth, which in a way you just have done. But it is like I go back to what I said on Monday. That Villarreal game, you thought, right, mate, this is what we need to see when you've. He clearly flirted with Tottenham in the summer. There's no doubt about that. Whatever you make of the suitcase next to the pool table.
And that is partly why I think fans are so annoyed at him now. Yeah. Because it wasn't like he built up loads of goodwill in his first season here. Like, fans want him to do well. They want him to be good. But you're a bit annoyed if after a year somebody's then talking about, or flirting is a good word, with the idea of leaving. Because he went to Palermo with City's only pre-season game and sort of fine. And then a day later, Tottenham are interested and he's suddenly out with this mystery illness and sticking all this stuff on social media. And I think it's kind of a bit of a perfect storm with him. But the way to get out of that is meaningful contributions for the club that you contracted.
Yeah, and it's not just that he did that, it's the fact he then got a new contract out of it after one average year at the club and nothing's really changed. And maybe there's an argument that the Lewis and Savinho situations are different because Lewis didn't flirt with Nottingham Forest and made it very clear he wanted to stay.
Yeah.
But it almost feels like City have kind of been outflanked by both of them and outplayed by both of them, which probably doesn't reflect that well on Viana at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you would have to say the players look to have got a better deal than the club have got. And again, time will ultimately judge that, but it's just not great when you give him player contracts out like that, but yet Foden isn't signed up yet or anything like that. So it's there's a lot of business that is being viewed pretty critically right now.
Yeah, definitely. And on to Leeds this weekend then.
Leeds.
Haaland could get his 100th Premier League goal against the club in the city of his birth. And he will definitely start. As I think I could name 10 players who will definitely start. Donnarumma, Núñez, Diaz, Gvardiol, O'Reilly, Gonzalez, Bernardo, Foden, Doku, Haaland. Bernardo may be the only one that might, but I think 10.
No, I feel like you've named 11 there.
Donnarumma.
Who are you missing?
Cherky from the Premier League team.
Right.
Gonzalez, Bernardo, Foden, Doku and Haaland.
Okay, right.
So Cherky's been that Premier League team has started 3 in a row if you include Cherky. I'm not sure.
So I think against Leeds, I think Bernardo will be... I think he'll start, but it'll be one of those where he's like right wing, but isn't necessarily right wing, is tucking in and Nunes is going down. And I think either Cherky or Marmoush will play alongside Foden behind Haaland.
I suggested those 10 are nailed on, but the other position could probably be one of 4. It could be Cherky again.
Yeah.
It could be Reinders. It could be Marmoush playing kind of behind Haaland, or he could go back to 2 proper wingers and bring Savinho in.
Could be Savinho.
Like it feels like the team's pretty much set in stone.
To be fair, he has gone a lot this season, hasn't he, Bob? Savinho and Doku against kind of teams that he expects to defend deep. But I think it has to be Cherky or Marmoush. And I know Marmoush hasn't done it this season, but he's just... He needs to start, really.
Yeah. Well, that Swansea goal is the only goal he scored all season, isn't it?
He's off soon to the AFCON anyway, so like you sort of need to get some performances out of him.
Yeah, you do. And it's maybe more of a game for Cherky than Newcastle was. I was slightly surprised maybe to see him start there. But, you know, we're saying how hard it is to assess transfer business. We were sitting here in August saying what a deal City have got with Reinders and probably still saying that in September.
Yeah.
And now he can't get in the team again.
And I still think I think there's a lot. I think he's not far off being very good. And I think he's been unlucky in that he's had a lot of shots that could have gone in and were close to going in.
It's staggering he hasn't scored since the first day of the season.
Yeah. And maybe that is down to his poor finishing. Maybe he should have finished some of those. But I think he has been a bit unlucky. And I think goals are it with Savinho, right? If he scored or assisted, then he wouldn't be getting criticism. But when you're in that team as an attacking player, and particularly with Reinders, because he's I was looking at his stats and he's really quite good in terms of in the league still for like goals and assists and expected and whatever. But it's like that defensive side of the game that he's really not there. And if you're not winning the duels and the aerial battles and everything like that, then you have to be doing something. Like as a Gundogan replacement, I think he's showing plenty of good signs, but he's just not there, and I don't think he's in the strongest team at the minute.
No, I think that's probably fair. We've said they obviously need to get back to winning ways. They can't make it 3 defeats in a row, especially in a game that is winnable. But go on.
But also, Arsenal at Chelsea on Sunday.
Yeah.
So if you win, you're back to 4 points, and then it's a bit of pressure on Arsenal again, because that is a tougher fixture on paper.
Well, I think there'll be pressure on that anyway, because I think Chelsea are above City now. If they beat Arsenal, then maybe staking a claim to be...
Yeah, nobody wants to talk about them, do they?
They're the 3rd challenges Arsenal have had this season.
Yeah.
But no, they do
World
kind of fly under the
champions.
radar, and I think they'll throw in enough crazy defeats.
Yeah, I think so. I just think there's question marks over kind of the team, the manager, and I don't think they've played very well this season in a lot of games. I don't think Chelsea fans have been that happy with a lot of the performances, but they have done enough to win. And
yeah, I think they're probably the type of team that could beat Arsenal and lose at home to Sunderland, as they already have done, given the youthfulness and the inexperience.
Yeah, and they keep getting red cards as well, which you feel like already has and will continue to catch up with them.
And maybe we've just got to say, as bad as a week it's been for City, what a week for Arsenal. And we sat here last Friday saying this title might be Arsenal's to lose rather than City's to win. There's still a long way to go, but their 2 performances, 2 results this week, they just kind of look borderline unstoppable at the moment.
Yeah, they look great. But, you know, I'm struggling to think when City have looked as good as that by November. But City have won 6 of the last 8 titles, so maybe it's not about being great in November. Maybe it will be, and maybe they'll win the title. But there's a lot of football still to be played.
I guess the titles City haven't won would be the 2 that Liverpool have won, when Liverpool have built up a huge lead, haven't they?
Blitzed them.
Which is maybe what Arsenal are going to do. Because
Arsenal are looking to do.
The way things are going at the moment, Arsenal could be 15 points clear.
Yeah. And I think as soon as it hits 9-10, then again, psychologically, but they're not there yet. And Arsenal have previous for being caught by City.
They do. City just have to stay close. And I think the concern with City, to bring it back to the Premier League, is that, you mentioned before, losing at Newcastle is not a bad result. But when you're losing at Newcastle and you're losing at Villa and you're losing at Brighton, in isolation, they're all like, that can happen.
Yeah.
Shouldn't happen to all of them. And you look at, Leeds and Sunderland, Leeds, Fulham, Sunderland, City should take, and I think probably will take 9 points out of 9 this week. Yeah. Would not surprise me in the slightest if they then went to Palace and lost.
I think the most important, the game that will tell us the most about City in the next 6 weeks is Palace away. If they can win at Palace away, then I think they're up there as contenders, unless they lose all of the 7 or whatever. But if they can go to Palace away, if they can go to Forest away on the 27th and get a result, then great. If not, then you've got to look at their away form. Yeah,
well, that's the concern, isn't it? The games where, like you're saying, you look at it in isolation and you're like, it's acceptable for a team to lose there. But you can't lose pretty much. You can't lose 70% of the games that it's acceptable to lose if you want to win trophies. You've got to win the vast majority of them.
Yeah, and I think City are up on where they were in terms of points gained last season, but they need to be up a lot. And also, Arsenal are up a lot.
And City I touched on this on Monday, City have lost 4 of 12 league games. They only lost 9 in the whole of last season. And, there's less draws, I think, this season, which is why they're up on points tally, but they're still throwing in a lot of defeats. And I think, the fear is that they'll throw another one in at Palace or Forest. Yeah. If you're losing 5 games before the turn of the year, it's pretty hard to win leagues, isn't it?
It is. This is the part of the year, November to March, where City have traditionally been the best, because that is when there's no international breaks and it's sort of 100% unfiltered Pep. So if they can get that going for them, then they will still be close to Arsenal by March, which is what they want. But you are reliant on an Arsenal team that doesn't look like they will drop many points, dropping quite a few.
Yeah, no, they look locked in at the moment, don't they? Anyway, we have a press conference to get to. So thank you everyone for listening or watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave us a review if you've enjoyed it. If you've not enjoyed it, then don't bother. Remember to like and subscribe to get the latest podcast in your feed as well. And we'll be back on Monday to hopefully dissect a win against Leeds. But for now, thanks for listening and speak to you all soon.